And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. I'm Michael, as always, and you are watching us live here on Twitch. So all of you watching, thank you for tuning in. Apparently my little experiment that I'm trying to do is not working. Medically. Oh, now it wants to say I'm live. As I experiment watching on my PlayStation 4, because I want to see how the resolution comes out on a high-def television. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. We are now in true playoff push mode in the NHL, as we are now outside of the All-Star break. A lot of big games that happened this past week, and we're going to start off with Washington Capitals coverage here on the show. On January 31st, the Philadelphia Flyers visited the Washington Capitals in what would be both teams' first games of the since the All-Star break. For both teams, for the Washington Capitals, they gave up the first goal of the game for the Philadelphia Flyers a minute 18 in to the first period, Nolan Patrick scoring his fourth of the season from Wayne Simmonds. And then at 7:50, the Flyers would get another one by Travis Konechny at his 11th of the season from Sean Couturier. And then at 15:44, Robert Hagg would be called for holding. At the end of the first period, Philly would be up 2-0. Shots were 11-6 in favor of the Flyers. Faceoffs were 10-8 in favor of the Flyers. Hits were 6-5 in favor of the Flyers. The Flyers did not have a power play, but the Capitals were 0 for 1. This was a very sloppy start for the Washington Capitals. Their passes were not crisp, and their overall play was not acceptable. There is just too much running around. There's too. I guess you could say that they were playing like their chickens with their heads cut off a little bit in that first period. The Capitals need to clean up their game as a whole if they hope to come back in this game. And then for the Capitals, at 2:14, Chandler Stevenson would score his third of the season from Lars Eller and John Carlson, their 14th and 32nd respectively. Then at 3:01, 45 seconds later, Chandler Stevenson would score his fourth of the season and second of the game, assisted by Madison Bowey, his 12th of the season. And then at 9:48, John Carlson would be called for tripping. Then at 13:24, Andrew McDonald will be called for slashing, and on that power play at 14:32, Andre Burakovsky would score his fourth of the season from Lars Eller, who got his 15th of the season and his second of the game. At the end of the second period, the Caps would be up 3-2 over the Philadelphia Flyers. Shots were 23-17 in favor of Philadelphia. Faceoffs were 25-18 in favor of Philly. Hits were 14-12 in favor of Philly, and on the power play, Philly was 0 for 1, and the Caps were 1 for 2. This was a much better period for the Capitals. They struck early and they swung the momentum their way. Plus, capitalizing on their lone power play of the second period was a boost for them as well. The Caps need to keep pushing this tempo and continue to keep the momentum in their side of things rather than on the opposite side of the coin. And it helped out for them by keeping it pushing, because at 4:16 into the third period, Nolan Patrick would be called for hooking. Then at 5:28 on that power play, TJ Oshie would score his 12th of the season from Evgeny Kuznetsov and John Carlson, both getting their 33rd assist of the season. Then at 9:06, Devontae Smith-Pelly would score his 7th of the season from Christian Djoos and Jay Beagle, their 7th and 10th respectively. Then at 10:02, both Brandon Manning and Alex Chiasson would both get 5 minutes each for fighting. And then at 10:40, Jacob Voracek would score his 10th of the season from Ivan Provorov and Nolan Patrick, their 16th and 7th respectively. At the end of this game, the Capitals would go on to win 5-3. Shots were 30-25 in favor of Philly. Faceoffs were 36-26 in favor of Philly. Hits were 18-18 even. And on the power play, the Flyers were 0 for 1 and the Capitals were 2 for 3. Sloppy start coming off yet another extended break for the Washington Capitals. As I mentioned on past shows, the Caps have had like 2 4-day breaks, a couple 5-day breaks, a 3-day break. Just so many breaks in between games. Now that the schedule is tightening up for the Washington Capitals, they are now going, now they can really build that rhythm. This was obviously a good game for the Capitals to get out some of those kinks that they're having. Obviously, the very sloppy start in the first period that was not acceptable, and then tightening things up, playing their game in the second, and for the most part, the third for the Capitals, which got them this 5-3 victory. And then moving on to last night's game, which huge shout out to our friends Nova Caps, who held their viewing party for the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins that took place in Pittsburgh. I do apologize for not appearing. Started a new job this week, and I've been kind of a little worn out by said new job. So, but luckily I stayed awake for the entire game, so I can do this summary for the Washington Capitals in Pittsburgh. 2 minutes and 11 seconds into the game, Phil Kessel would score his 22nd of the season from Riley Sheehan and Jake Gensel. Then at 3:32, Sidney Crosby called for tripping. Then at 15:50, Carl Hagelin would score his 5th of the season, which would be unassisted. And then at 18:10, Alex Ovechkin would score his 31st from Christian Djoos, his 8th assist of the season. And then at 19:27, Chandler Stevenson would be called for tripping. At the end of the first, the Penguins would be up 2-1. Shots were 13-12 in favor of the Penguins. Faceoffs were 9-8 in favor of the Caps. Hits were 17-11 in favor of the Caps. And the power play was 0-for-1 for the Capitals and not applicable for the Penguins, as their first was still in progress at the time. This was a very competitive period for the Capitals, which saw them get some good chances on net, but ultimately favored the Pittsburgh Penguins more than it did the Washington Capitals. The Capitals need to do better with their battles along the boards and also continue creating chances around the Pittsburgh net. There are too many times where one-on-one along the boards, the Capitals will get beaten by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and there's also other plays along the ice where they're getting beaten one-on-one as well, and that's stuff that they need to tighten up if they want to continue to do good. Then in the second period, 26 seconds in on the power play, Patrick Hornqvist would score his 16th of the season from Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. Then at 3:08, Dmitry Orlov would score a bomb of a shot, his 7th of the season from Lars Eller and Matt Niskanen, their 16th and 11th respectively. Then at 11:57, Evgeny Kuznetsov would score his 14th of the season from Tom Wilson and Alex Ovechkin, their 15th and 24th respectively of the season. An interesting note about that one, Capitals color commentator Craig Laughlin retweeted a tweet that we did, stating that they did a shout out to our friends Nova Caps, and as a result, immediately after that retweet was done, Evgeny Kuznetsov scored to tie the game. Then at 12:17, Tom Wilson would be called for roughing. At 19:40, TJ Oshie would be called for cross-checking, and Chris Letang would be called for roughing. There will be more on that a little bit later. Something just broke before we started the show live. Shots this period, it was tied 3-3 going into the third. Shots were 25-24 in favor of the Penguins. 21-20 were the faceoffs in favor of the Caps. Hits were 26-25 in favor of the Caps, and power play, Caps were 0-for-1, and Pittsburgh was 1-for-2. This was another good, solid, competitive period for the Capitals. I saw them tie up the game going into the third period. The Caps need to keep pushing the pace and stay out of the box. This can be a next goal wins type of game for the Capitals. And I was kind of right about this, because at a minute 1 second into the third, Evgeny Malkin would score his 27th of the season from Phil Kessel and Olli Mata. Then at 1 minute 50 seconds in, Alex Ovechkin would score his 2nd of the game, the 32nd of the season, from Evgeny Kuznetsov and Dmitry Orlov, their 34th and 11th respectively. And then Nicholas Backstrom would take a penalty for high-sticking at 4:50, which on that power play at 6:08, Brian Russ would score his 7th of the season from Chris Letang. Then at 7:59, Phil Kessel would get his 2nd of the game, his 23rd of the season from Evgeny Malkin, which would then have forced Barry Trotz to pull Braden Holtby for Philip Grubauer in the net. And then Madison Bauer would be called for tripping at 9:05, which 55 seconds into the power play at 10 minutes even, Evgeny Malkin would score his 2nd of the game, his 28th of the season, from Sidney Crosby and Jake Gensel. And then Evgeny Malkin would be called for tripping at 11:44. Carl Hagelin would be called for hooking at 17:08. The Capitals could do nothing with those power plays, and the Capitals would fall to the Pittsburgh Penguins 7-4. Shots were 39-33 in favor of Pittsburgh. Faceoffs were 32-31 in favor of the Caps. Hits were 31-29 in favor of the Caps. On the power play, Washington was 0 for 3, and Pittsburgh was 3 for 4. So they were 75% on their power play. Not a great third period for the Caps. They allowed themselves to get outshot by the Pittsburgh Penguins. They also let the Penguins take the tempo away from them, and that is not a great thing if you're a Washington Capitals fan, to see your arch rival, pretty much be handed the third period, like the way the Capitals, in my opinion, did, by taking the Nicholas Backstrom high sticking penalty, the Madison Bowie tripping penalty, both resulting in power play goals in the third period. And like I mentioned in my need to do coming out of the second period and the third period, this can be a next goal wins game, and it happened to be, hey, Malkin got a goal, Ovechkin responded right back 49 seconds later. Backstrom takes a penalty, Brian Rust scores a power play goal. That sucks the momentum away from the Capitals and takes away a chance, because now their penalty killing has hurt them once again in this game. Good morning, Dixon. And as a result, Rust scores, then Kessel scores, then Malkin scores on the power play, and the dominoes fell in the favor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That is the type of stuff that the Capitals need to work on, and thankfully there's no more extended breaks for the Capitals, so that way, they're playing again tomorrow at 12:30 against the Vegas Golden Knights, which Dixon and I will be at that game along with other people, people I play hockey with. Shaggy, who's a regular contributor to the show, he'll be at the game. Maybe you'll see him on our little vodcast that we'll be putting out later this week here on Twitch. So who knows? But great first two periods, but not a great third period for the Washington Capitals last night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And give me a second. For some reason I keep forgetting to put these right here where they need to be. I need them. Now, it's really weird. Now, Dixon, I know you're watching right now, but I actually have the feed up on my TV for my PlayStation 4. So not only do I see your comment right here in front of me, but I see your comment on my TV, which makes my life a little easier. So if you guys comment when I move off of the website to go over news and notes and such, I could still see your comments and respond to you guys, which is really cool. Wouldn't you agree, Dixon? 6 weeks later, he'll respond to that. But moving on, it is time for NHL and NWHL news and notes. That doesn't get old, not at all. And we are going to start with NHL. I want to end with the NWHL because I have an announcement for our February 17th show, which will make Shaggy happy. Starting off real quick on the 27th, the National Hockey League announced the selection of the San Jose Sharks SAP Center in the city of San Jose as host of the 2019 NHL All-Star Weekend. The mid-season showcase will take place January 25th through 27th, 2019, and will include the NHL All-Star Skills Competition on Saturday, January 26th, and the All-Star Game on Sunday, January 27th. This will now be the third time that the San Jose Sharks have been selected to do the All-Star Game. The first time was in 1995, but however that one was canceled as a result of a lockout. And then in 1997 they got to do their remake, which is when they actually got to host the actual All-Star Game. Number one thing I'm going to say is I hope those jerseys that they do next year are a lot better than the ones that they did this year, because those jerseys this year were ugly. I don't know how anyone can buy one of those with pride. And going into the 28th, or the 27th again, All-Star Shine in Tampa at the annual skills competition. Oilers forward Connor McDavid won the fastest skater with a time of 13.454 seconds to become the first ever player to win the contest in back-to-back years, and the fifth to capture the title on multiple occasions, joining Sergei Fedorov, Mike Gartner, Peter Bondra, Sammy Kapanen, and Scott Niedermayer. Capitals forward Alex Ovechkin hit triple digits on the radar gun at 101.3 miles per hour to win the NHL hardest shot for the first time in 7 career All-Star Game appearances. Distracting shooters with his choice of music. Dixon's favorite. Dixon, I feel so bad for you that you're even considering buying one. But you know what? To make it up to you, my friend. Distracting shooters with his choice of music. Let It Go. From Disney's Frozen, Golden Knights goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury put together 14 consecutive saves, including a highlight reel glove save on Lightning forward Braden Point to capture the NHL save streak title. I knew you'd love that one, Dixon, knowing how much you love the movie Frozen. Canucks forward Brock Besser, who tops all rookies and ranks 7th in the league with 24 goals this season, hit all 5 targets in 11.136 seconds to place first in the Honda NHL accuracy shooting competition. Johnny Gaudreau's helped capture the NHL puck control relay at a time of 24.650 seconds. And Blues defenseman Alex Pietrangelo was the fastest to complete the NHL passing challenge at a time of 46.610 seconds. Devils forward Brian Boyle, who played 212 games with the Lightning across 3 seasons, received a standing ovation from the Tampa crowd. The Stanley Cup was rescued from pirates during Tampa's annual Gasparilla Festival. And in the spirit of the festival, Lightning defenseman Victor Hedman and Senators defenseman Erik Karlsson entered the 2018 NHL All-Star Skills Competition dressed as pirates. All right, pretty cool. Oh, and I just completely closed the email. That's your fault, Dixon. Don't you be groaning. And for anyone who is watching this right now on Twitch, please feel free to join the conversation. We do have a chat going on as we are doing the show live, so please join in the conversation. Any questions you want to ask, please feel free to ask. I will gladly answer them for you here on the show. Going into the All-Star game, Brock Besser was named MVP as the Pacific Division claimed the 2018 NHL All-Star title. The 20-year-old rookie collected a 1 goal, 1 assist in the final to lead the Pacific Division to victory in the All-Star game at Amalie Arena. Besser also scored in the team's opening contest, was presented with a 2018 Honda Clarity after being voted by fans as MVP of the 3-on-3 tournament. Let's see here. Any other notes? Yeah, we'll do that note. That's a good note. Hockey pioneer Willie O'Ree was honored as the Lightning's community hero and received a standing ovation from the fans at Amalie Arena. And thanks from the 2018 All-Stars, he was presented with a donation of $100,000 to support the NHL's Hockey is for Everyone initiative, which we'll be talking a little bit more in a moment, because that kicked off the other day. And then your NHL 3 stars of the week. Your third star was goaltender Robin Lehner of the Buffalo Sabres. Lehner registered shutouts in each of his 2 appearances, stopping all 63 shots he faced to help the Sabres complete their first 3-game winning streak since February 14th through 18th, 2017. Then, second star center Buffalo Sabres franchise player Jack Eichel. Eichel led the NHL with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points and 3 outings to power the Sabres to a perfect week. And then the first star was from the Vancouver Canucks right winger Brock Besser. Besser earned MVP honors at Sunday's All-Star Game, won Saturday's NHL accuracy shooting competition, and also scored 2 goals in 2 contests earlier in the week with the Canucks. And also to note that Besser was participating as the only rookie in the weekend festivities for All-Star Weekend. So definitely congrats to those 3. And then in some of the sadder news this week is the fact that Jaromir Jagr is no longer in the NHL. Jaromir Jagr has been assigned by the Calgary Flames to a Czech Republic team. The forward will continue his career with Kladno, a team he owns, and as a result, he's leaving second in the NHL with 1,921 points in NHL history. Jágr cleared NHL waivers and was assigned by the team to Kladno in the Czech Republic on Monday. Jágr had 7 points, 1 goal, 6 assists with the Flames, but missed 27 games with a lower body injury. The last time he played was December 31st. Jágr had played in 1,733 games in the NHL, including 22 this season, his first with the Flames. He had signed a 1-year, $1 million contract on October 4th as an unrestricted free agent. Kladno is Jágr's hometown, and he has been the majority owner of the team since 2011. Jágr trails Gordie Howe by 34 games for first in NHL history. Mark Messier is second. Jágr passed Ron Francis for third on December 29th. So let's see here. Just to take a look at this. So games, we already said he's third all-time with 1,733. Goals, he's third all-time with 766. Fifth all-time with 1,155 assists. Second all-time with 1,921 points. His first game was October 5th, 1990. And his last game was December 31st, 2017. Just to give you an idea of how long Jágr has been a professional hockey player in the NHL, my October 5th, 1990 is 4 days after I turned 4. I'll let that sink in. I was 4 when he debuted in the NHL. Jágr was voted as one of the 100 greatest NHL players presented by Molson Canadian. Jágr won the Stanley Cup in 1991 and 1992 with the Penguins, who selected him number 5 in the 1990 NHL draft, and was named to the NHL All-Rookie team in 1990-91 after he had 57 points in 80 games. He has won a 1999 Hart Trophy as NHL MVP, the Art Ross Trophy as scoring champion 5 times, which was 95, and then 1998 for 2001, and the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy for perseverance and dedication to hockey in 2016. He scored more than 20 goals in an NHL season 19 times, including each of his first 17 seasons. He scored at least 30 goals 15 times, at least 40 goals 6 times, and at least 50 goals 3 times, including a NHL career high 62 and 95-96. Jágr had 5 100-point seasons, but recently in 2005-2006 with 123 points in 82 games with the New York Rangers. His high was 149 points with the Penguins in 1995-96. Jágr was selected to the NHL All-Star Game 10 times and voted an NHL First Team All-Star 7 times. Jágr played for the Penguins, Capitals, Rangers, Flyers, Stars, Bruins, Devils, Panthers, and Flames. And then there is a little note here that says he played for Omsk in the KHL from 2008 to 11. He played for his native Czech Republic at the Olympics 5 times, winning the gold medal in 1998 Nagano and a bronze medal in 2006 Torino. Jágr is a member of the IIHF Triple Gold Club, earning a gold medal at the 2005 IIHF World Championship to his Olympic gold and Stanley Cup championship. Now, the note that I want to bring up was the KHL, the Continental Hockey League. If Jágr did not play there from 2008 to 2011, a lot of records probably would be broken right now, and he'd be number 1 on that list. Just throwing that out there. But he didn't. He spent those years over there. Probably was for the better for him, too, to get out of the NHL for a little bit, then come back. So, yeah. And then in other news, the New York Islanders are set to play 12 games at Nassau Coliseum in 2018-19, with even more games to come. The arena will actually host 60 home dates in the next 3 seasons, with the Belmont Arena under construction. The New York Islanders will play 12 regular season games at Nassau Coliseum next season and 48 more during the 2019-20 and 2020-21 seasons. New York will play its remaining home games this season at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, their current arena, then split their home games between Barclays and Nassau, while their new arena at Belmont Park is under construction. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said on Monday. The Islanders, who played at the Coliseum from 1972 to 2015 before moving to Brooklyn, are planning to have the Belmont Arena ready for the 2021-22 season. It has not been determined where the Islanders would play Stanley Cup playoff games between next season and the spring of 2021. Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment operates both Barclays and Nassau Coliseum. And recently, Nassau Coliseum underwent $165 million in renovations after the Islanders moved out in the spring of 2015 and reopened in April 2017. The Islanders returned to play a preseason game against the Flyers on September 17th, which they won in overtime on a goal by center John Tavares. Obviously, one of the big questions here is and we're going to be talking a lot about it, is about John Tavares. They have this new arena. They're going to be playing some games at, what's it called, at Nassau now. So the real base of the Islanders fans are going to be able to come watch. So it'll be very interesting, especially the fact that John Tavares is an unrestricted free agent on July 1st of this year. So we shall see what happens with that. And then on the 31st, New Jersey Devils forward Taylor Hall has been fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the CBA, for boarding Buffalo Sabres forward Kyle Okposo during NHL game number 762 in Buffalo on Tuesday, January 30th. The Department of Player Safety announced the incident occurred at 7:40 of the first period. Hall was assessed a minor penalty for boarding on the play. And then also on the 31st, you had 5 different players find the back of the net, including first career NHL goals from defenseman Travis Dermott and Justin Hull to power the Maple Leafs to their third straight win and fourth victory in 5 contests. Per Elias, Dermott, 9 games played, and Hull, 1 game played, became just the 4th pair of defensemen on the same team since 1991-92 to register first career NHL goals in this same game. The others were Ottawa's Shane Knighty and Karel Ratchunik on January 16, 2001, Edmonton's Adam Bennett and Ilya Baikin on November 6, 1993, and Detroit's Nicholas Lidstrom and Vladimir Konstantinov on October 17, 1991. Hall, who celebrated his 26th birthday on Tuesday, became the 8th defenseman in franchise history to score his first NHL goal while making his NHL debut, and the first to do so since Ron Wilson on March 4th, 1978 versus Vancouver. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, Hockey is for Everyone month begins. It began the other day. With a calendar of when each team is going to be doing their own thing. The Washington Capitals have a few dates on there, one of which is being tomorrow, which Dixon and I will be at. It's all started on February 1st with the Coyotes, Bruins, and Devils. Today it will be the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Islanders doing Hockey is for Everyone. For all Washington Capitals fans in this area, you have tomorrow the 4th, Friday the 9th, Sunday the 11th, Tuesday the 20th, Saturday the 24th, and Tuesday the 27th. Those are all days that the Washington Capitals will be doing Hockey is for Everyone stuff. To find out more what each club is doing, visit nhl.com/hockeyisforeveryone. You can also go to the Washington Capitals websites or all the team sites to see what's going on. I'm trying to read some of this stuff. These are just numbers. Okay. So yeah, definitely nhl.com/hockeyisforeveryone for more information on what is going on with that. And then you have your Players of the Month announced. Starting off with the Rookie of the Month from the New York Islanders, Matthew Barzal, who led all rookies with 12 assists and 15 points in 13 games, has been named the NHL Rookie of the Month for January. And then for the 3 stars of January, Your third star was Jonathan Bernier, goalie of the Colorado Avalanche. Bernier posted a league-high 8 wins, compiling a 2.10 goals against average and a .939 save percentage and 1 shutout in 11 games to propel the Avalanche to an 8-2-1 January. He yielded 2 or fewer goals in 7 of his 11 appearances, including his 16th career shutout on January 4th versus Columbus. The second star, center of the Boston Bruins, Patrice Bergeron. Bergeron ranked second in the NHL with 9 goals and fourth with 17 points in 11 games to guide the Bruins to an 8-1-2 January and within 5 points of first place in the overall league standings. He found the score sheet in 9 of his 11 appearances, headlined by a career-high 4 goals and 5 points, January 6th versus Carolina. And the number 1 star, who the Capitals just went up against yesterday and got 4 points against them, center of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Evgeny Malkin. Malkin led the NHL with 12 goals and ranked second with 19 points in 12 games to lift the Penguins to a 9-3-0 January, and second place in the Metropolitan Division. He collected at least 1 point in 8 of his 12 contests, highlighted by 4 3-point performances. Those included his 12th career hat trick on January 30th versus San Jose, and 22nd career 4-point outing January 13th versus Detroit. And of course, he just got another 4-point game against the Washington Capitals last night. And then on February 1st, the Vegas Golden Knights earned their 34th win to establish another NHL record. The Winnipeg Jets tied the game with 2:36 remaining in regulation, but David Perron scored at 3:57 of overtime to power the Golden Knights to a 34-12-4 mark this season. Vegas established an NHL record for most wins by a team in its inaugural season with 32 games remaining in its 2017-18 campaign. The Golden Knights owned the best record in the Western Conference and remained 1 point back of the league-leading Tampa Bay Lightning, who earned a win on Thursday as well. Vegas snapped Winnipeg's home win streak at 7 games and improved to 15-9-2 as visitors, 4 road victories shy of the NHL record for most by a team in its inaugural season. And then Curtis McElhinney turned aside all 25 shots he faced to backstop the Maple Leafs to their second shutout victory in as many days, won 5-0, also a 5-0 win on January 31st versus the Islanders, and 4th consecutive win overall. Toronto posted shutouts in consecutive days for the 5th time in franchise history. The Lightning erupted for 7 goals, including 4 in the third period, to improve to 35-13-3 this season and maintain a 1-point edge over the Golden Knights for first place in the NHL standings. Tampa Bay scored at least 7 goals in a game for the 3rd time this season. First time was October 21st versus Pittsburgh, and the second time was October 30th versus Florida. Okay. And then yesterday, we had some news where Buffalo Sabres forward Johan Larsson has been suspended for 2 games without pay for cross-checking Florida Panthers forward Vincent Trocheck during NHL game number 777 in Buffalo on Thursday. Player safety announced. The incident occurred at 19:25 of the third period. Larsson was assessed a major and match penalty for cross-checking. Under the terms of the collective bargaining agreement and based on his average annual salary, Larsson will forfeit $15,860.22 as a result of the suspension. And then yesterday in games, when we already gone over how the Penguins destroyed the Capitals in the third period earlier on the show, we don't need to recur the nightmare. Eric Stahl had 2 goals and an assist, and Jonas Brodin had 3 assists to help the Wild defeat the Western Conference leading Golden Knights and extend their point streak at XL Energy Center to 10 games. Minnesota equaled its franchise record for longest home point streak, a mark set from February 19th to March 10th, 2009, and matched from January 2nd to March 10th, 2014. Devin Dubnyk, who had 22 saves, improved to 20, 10, and 3 this season, and reached the 20-win mark for the 4th consecutive campaign. Okay. And of course, today, ladies and gentlemen, for games you have the Anaheim Ducks against the Montreal Canadiens at 1 p.m. The Ottawa Senators versus the Philadelphia Flyers also at 1 p.m. Then at 7 p.m., you have the Detroit Red Wings at the Florida Panthers, Colorado Avalanche at the Winnipeg Jets, the Pittsburgh Penguins at the New Jersey Devils, Maple Leafs at the Bruins, which will be your Hockey Night in Canada game. And then you also have the Columbus Blue Jackets versus the New York Islanders, the St. Louis Blues versus the Buffalo Sabres, the New York Rangers versus the Predators at 8 p.m. Also at 8 p.m. is the Minnesota Wild versus the Dallas Stars. And then at 10 p.m. you have the Lightning at the Canucks, the Blackhawks at the Flames, and then at 10:30 the Coyotes at the Los Angeles Kings. And then this was the breaking news that happened immediately before we went on air. Washington Capitals forward TJ Oshie has been fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the collective bargaining agreement, for cross-checking Pittsburgh Penguins defenseman Chris Letang during NHL game number 788 in Pittsburgh last night. The incident occurred at 19:40 of the second period. Oshie was assessed a minor penalty for cross-checking. I would like to personally go back and watch that play and see if he really warranted getting fined for the for the cross-check. So it's very interesting that he ended up getting fined for that, but I don't know. It's one of those where you got to go back and watch the play and see what he did to really warrant a fine. I mean, we understand why he got the penalty because him and Letang were in each other's faces, but again, you got to go back and you got to watch the play. And if that's available so we can see, let's watch it so we can watch it. All right. And that is it for NHL news. Now for NHL notes. And that, we're going to make this a weekly thing where we consistently look at the standings in the NHL. So after last night's games, Washington is still in first place of the Metropolitan Division with 65 points, with the Pittsburgh Penguins 4 points behind them with 61, and the New Jersey Devils 5 points behind with 60. And then in the Atlantic Division, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning in first with 73 points, Boston with 68 points, and then Toronto with 65. And then for the wild card, and once again, it is all Metropolitan Division. You have Columbus and Philadelphia with 58 and 56 points respectively. Then Carolina has 56 points, but Philadelphia has a game in hand on Carolina as they've played one less game. The New York Rangers and the New York Islanders are both at 55 points, respectively. The Rangers do have a game in hand on the New York Islanders. And then from there, it is Detroit with 50, Florida with 48, Montreal with 46, Ottawa with 41, and Buffalo with 37. It is safe to say that Florida on down to Buffalo is probably out of the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. I know it's the beginning of February, but I honestly see all three of those teams becoming sellers, most likely at the trade deadline. And there are players on some of those teams that others would be willing to look at to help them on their playoff runs. Detroit, I think, is still kind of in it right now. They're only 6 points away from Philly and Carolina for that final spot in the wild card. But realistically, I think it's going to be a 5-team Metropolitan run in the Eastern Conference. And in the West, you have the Winnipeg Jets in first place of the Central Division with 69 points, followed by Nashville with 67 and St. Louis with 65. In the Pacific Division, you have the Vegas Golden Knights with 72 points, followed by San Jose with 62 and Anaheim with 60. In the wild card, you have Dallas with 62 points, Minnesota with 61 in those two card spots, and then you have Colorado with 60, Los Angeles with 59, Calgary with 58, Chicago with 55, Edmonton with 48, Vancouver with 48, and Arizona with 33. Now, Arizona, I'm automatically going to say they're most likely out of the playoff picture. Let's be fair. I don't think they're going to be doing anything significant as long as they continue to use a kid who's younger than me that does everything based off of analytics. You cannot base everything off of analytics. Ever. You gotta see what the players actually physically do on the ice, not just for their stats. That's the key thing. I don't care what your Corsi is. I don't even know what my Corsi is when I play. And I don't care because it doesn't affect my play. And what affects my play? me and what I do and what decisions I make out on the court or on the ice. So, Edmonton, I think, can turn it around. Vancouver, I'm going to say no. Los Angeles has been kind of on a downfall as of late. So it's very, it's kind of one of those things of, can Los Angeles turn it around and get back into the picture? I don't know, maybe not. So we'll see. All right, and then going into the NWHL. And I'm just going to do a quick check. I know Shaggy is having to work today. So let's see. There are no tweets from our good friend Shaggy, but don't fear, we'll see him tomorrow at the Caps Vegas Golden Knights game. All right, so starting off, going into the NWHL, you had the Connecticut Whale taking on the Boston Pride, which saw the Connecticut Whale win 3-2 in the shootout. In the first period, Sydney Daniels scored for the Pride, and Jordan Brickner, assisted by Emily Fluke, scored for the Connecticut Whale. And then in the second period, you had Sydney Daniels scoring her second of the game, assisted by Haley Fratkin. And then Connecticut Whale tied it up when Jamie Goldsmith, assisted by Casey Anderson, scored the second goal for the Connecticut Whale. Then in the shootout, in what would be a 5-round shootout, first up for Boston was Sydney Daniels, who missed. Then Shannon Doyle for Connecticut, who missed. Then Jordan Smelker scored on her opportunity, followed by Jamie Goldsmith, who scored on her opportunity to keep it alive for the Connecticut Whale. And then for the Pride, Cordy Stearns, Dana Trevino, and Emily Field all missed. For the Connecticut Whale, Megan Hurtis and Sam Faber missed. But it would be Emily Fluke who would score the shootout winning goal in the 5th round for the Connecticut Whale. So, definitely a good win for the Whale on that one. And that was actually last night's game. I should correct myself. That was last night's game that took place with that one. And then last weekend, the Connecticut Whale nearly spoiled the Riveters' undefeated season on Saturday night. The 10-0 Riveters rolled into town looking to extend their streak behind the efforts of starting netminder Kimberly Sass. The former Buttes goalie made her first appearance as a Riveter against the Whale. The Pod put Sass to the test early, scoring twice in the first frame. And then second-year veteran Megan Hurtis scored unassisted 3 minutes into the game to give the home team the lead. Less than a minute later, Hurtis connected with All-Star Kelly Babstock for the second goal of the night. However, Connecticut would give up a power play goal to Kelsey Colzer of the Riveters 6 minutes into the period, and eventually the game-tying goal on another power play opportunity 4 minutes into the second period. Both teams had early chances to seal the game, but the puck didn't bounce favorably for either offense. That is until Courtney Burke found Madison Packer in front of the net with 32 ticks left on the clock. The former Wisconsin teammates connected on a set often run in their college days to seal the win for the Riveters in overtime. So the Riveters would go on to win and continue their to take their extended streak to 11 games. And good reporting by Erica Ayala on that one. And then moving in to the second game of last week, which was Buffalo triumphs as opposing All-Star goaltenders forced 10-round shootout. Face-off between two future 2018 NWHL All-Star goaltending captains was a defensive battle of the ages. Both seemed to maintain their own unexplainable energy levels, keeping almost everything nearby at bay. Although the Boston Pride shot first to get things rolling, the Buffalo Beauts would eventually triumph with a 1-0 shootout game winner from Lisa Chesson. Last time the Pride and the Beauts met, the matchup also required extra time and marked the first in each team's current 5-game streak. The most recent win gives Buffalo its 5th in as many games, now closing the gap of what seemed like light years between their seat in second place and the surging first place Riveters. Coming into Saturday, the teams were both seeking a regulation win for an outright 2 points and to begin to gain ground on the 20-point Metro leaders. So yeah, big game definitely for both teams, and of course, Player of the Week was handed off to both Amanda Leveille and Brittany Ott, the two captains of the squads going into this upcoming weekend's All-Star Weekend in Minnesota for the NWHL. Amanda Levier and Brittany Otter this week's honorees because of the remarkable showdown between the Pipes as the Buttes beat the Pride 1-0 via the shootout after the goalies were perfect for 60 minutes of regulation and 5 of overtime. In part of their heroics, the shootout was extended to 10 rounds instead of the usual 3. Leveille got the win, stopping all 25 shots she faced during action. For the season, she's 7-4-0 with a 2.77 GAA and a .911 save percentage. As for Ott was equal to the task on Saturday, flawlessly making 47 saves over regulation overtime. This season, Ott is 2-5-2 with a 2.75 GAA with a .909 save percentage. Over the first 2 seasons of the NWHL, she had a record of 22-3-0 and was an integral part of the Pride's Isabel Cup winning team in 2015-16. These two will face each other again when it comes to the All-Star game this upcoming weekend in Minnesota. You can still buy your tickets at nwhl.zone/tickets. So let's take a look at the standings. Last night, obviously, we already had a game take place between the Connecticut Whale and the Boston Pride, which the Connecticut Whale won in the shootout. Today, it is the Metropolitan Riveters at the Buffalo Buttes, which is the Twitter game of the week at 1 p.m. You can watch that on Twitter today. And then the Metropolitan Riveters are 11-0 with 22 points. Buffalo Buttes are 7-4-0 with 14 points. Connecticut Whale are 3-7-2 with 8 points, and the Boston Pride are 2-6-4 with 8 points as well. So the Connecticut and Boston still tied for third place. But Connecticut having the leverage of having one more win than the Boston Pride have. And then, let's see here. And then today's matchup between the Buttes and the Riveters will be a very interesting one when you think about it, because if you get the Buttes a win in this one, that's what you consider a 4-point swing. And just because they get 16, that's 2 points that the Riveters will not get. So they will reduce their points from, instead of it possibly becoming 8 or 7, depending if it goes to overtime, the Buttes will make it a straight up 6-point differential and can potentially catch the Riveters if they're able to. Especially the fact that they're now in the last month of their regular season, and after the All-Star break next weekend, they will be going into their massive playoff push as well. So today, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, you got the Riveters versus the Buffalo Buttes on Twitter. Definitely you want to go watch that. All right. Now, we got 11 minutes left. I need water. It's a lot of talking. Wouldn't you agree, Dixon? So, this is so weird watching myself on my TV. But, so you look at the Capitals schedule now, and it's the biggest break they have is a 2-day break, and it only happens once. Every other game the Capitals play, let's see here, the Capitals have all 1-day breaks, and they have 2 back-to-backs this month. So for this month alone, the Washington Capitals have 2 back-to-backs, 1 2-day break, and primarily just a day in between all their games, which is good for the Washington Capitals because that is what they need. And that's just what any team needs. You don't want to become stagnant. You don't want to have all these breaks in between games. It's not good for you or your team. It's good for you if the other team's coming out of a 4-day break, so why not? Let's do it. But I think also the number one thing that needs to also happen, especially this month, is that the players can't let themselves be distracted once the Olympics start. Because we all know how passionate everyone is about, oh, they should be going to the Olympics. They should be going to the Olympics. No, they shouldn't be going to the Olympics. We shouldn't be shutting down the league for this garbage. I actually like the fact that there are better stories coming out of no NHL players playing in the Olympics this time around rather than always. Because, I mean, we've seen stuff where college players have been picked to go for Team USA, and you see the video of the father going up to his son and hugging him out of excitement, because normally his son wouldn't have had that opportunity if the NHL players went. That kid would be sitting at college still. He wouldn't have been able to go play for his country. You know, and I think that's a better story to tell than go, oh, well, Alex Ovechkin's going to play for Russia again. There's no story there. Never has, never will. That's a fact. I'm sorry. If you don't agree with me on it, too bad. That's a fact. And you see that also with, Rasmus Dahlin, who will be playing for Sweden in the Olympics. He is projected to be the number 1 pick overall in the NHL draft. Can you imagine what type of story it will create if he goes to the Olympics and he dominates the Olympics with a bunch of men and other people that are his age too, who are getting looks at, who will be draft eligible in this upcoming NHL draft? That would raise a player's stock so high. But then also look at a player like Brian Giunta, a player that no NHL team wanted to take a look at. He just played his last game for Rochester Americans in the AHL before going off to the Olympics, which, by the way, Rochester is his hometown. He goes to the Olympics. He's the captain of Team USA, and he leads them to a good showing in the Olympics. That could potentially lead for him to get a better look by an NHL team. Is it a guarantee that an NHL team will sign him? No. But if he has a good tournament, that's a good story for him, going, hey, no NHL team wanted me. I got the pick to be captain. And I led Team USA to do this, to a respectable showing, or heck, even a medal. That would go a long way for Brian Giunta. And it would tell a good story. It would. It would tell a better story than most others if it was just straight up NHL players going to the Olympics. And then, of course, past guest of this show, Jenny Scrivens, her husband, Ben Scrivens, who again probably doesn't get looked at by the NHL anymore, is getting an opportunity to redeem himself playing for Team Canada. And from one Motorhead fan to another Motorhead fan, I'm rooting for him. And I hope he has great success in the tournament. And I hope that his success in the tournament gets him back into the NHL. So that is what this Olympic tournament is going to do for these guys who are A, draft eligible and are trying to work on building up their stock, or B, for these guys who got overlooked and said, hey, you've overlooked me, you thought I was done. Here I am on the big stage. And that's what the Olympics should be for the game of hockey, for men. Probably still watch the women's hockey over the men anyways, but that's just me. I've always found the women's hockey more exciting during the Olympics anyways. And then, what was my other stuff? Oh yes, I wanted to talk about this. So, I do this thing on here called, I do an app on here called Topps Skate 18, which I am going to take a shot. Oh, well, you can see the logo. It's there. Anyways, so there you go. There's the app. It's a trading card app. And yesterday, Topps released. It came out okay on the TV. Topps came out with the Vegas Golden Knights highlight card, which is like a 15 card set that they're spreading out throughout the entire season, which is cool, and I'm collecting them all. It's a really good set. There's also a throwback set where they do cards like they were in 1990-91, which is really cool, and I love it so much. I'm definitely collecting that set too. And when the Vegas thing came out, people were complaining. And of course, everyone's saying, oh, well, Vegas got better rules than other expansion teams. We just mentioned that they just surpassed the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim for the win record for an inaugural season team. Here's the thing, and I like what this one poster did in the forum that we chat in on the game to try to initiate trades, and that is, when this team was put together, pretty much all the players that were selected were supposed to be with the exception of Marc-Andre Fleury, James Neal, David Perron, who were actual veterans. Jonathan Marchessault, nobody knew he would still have that magic touch that he has right now. Us Caps fans obviously knew what Nate Schmidt would be. But, the fact that a bunch of guys from 30 other teams come to one team and they're able to gel as quickly as they did, that's a great story. And we should not discount what they're doing out in Vegas. They're having a great season. It's kind of put George McPhee in a very interesting spot come the trade deadline, because everyone just assumed, they'll have a hot start, then they'll cool off to where they should be, and then trade deadline, James Neal gets traded, Jonathan Marchessault gets traded, so-and-so gets traded, and it works itself out. It's kind of it's done a 180, and I'm not going to lie, it's going to be interesting. And I'm excited for tomorrow, when Dixon and I will be at the game. Shaggy will be at the game. He'll actually be sitting 3 sections over from where we are. I have family who's going to be at the game. I have teammates who are going to be at the game. So it's going to be a fun game, and to get to see Vegas in person, that will be really cool. It's something I strive to do whenever there's a new team in the league, or if a team moves, or if we know that a team is going to be moving, or team gets a new overall look with uniforms and stuff, because we're nerds like that, especially Dixon and I. So tomorrow will be very interesting, and for tomorrow we will be filming content for the game. It will be going on here on Twitch first, and then going up on Patreon. We will be vodcasting it live. We record and then we post it up onto Twitch, and we set it up for a time. Definitely stay tuned to our Patreon page, patreon.com/txht_hockey, for more information on that. Speaking of our Patreon, I will be updating everything, so everyone who is a patron and wanted to see some of the past exclusive content, that is now going to be lowered to $5. So if you join and you contribute $5 to the show every month, you will get to see all the past exclusive content that we've posted up. More exclusive content will come up at a later time, just not right now. We want to build up the Patreon a little bit more before we go all in. And then also next week, let me find it. I'm not going to do all the plugs this week. Sorry, Awesome Con and Donald. You guys will start getting your plugs after next week because of looking for sci-fi fun. Then come to the Hunt Valley Inn in Hunt Valley, Maryland for 4 Point from February 9th to 11th, 2018. Come see special guests Matt Frewer, Timothy Zahn, Nana Visitor, and many more. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit farpointcon.com today, and we will be doing the show live from Farpoint in Hunt Valley, Maryland on February 10th. We are excited to do it. It's a fun little con. I get to have some of my buddies there, so you might actually get to see some other people get involved with the show who normally would not get involved with the show, especially my good friend Brian Massey. So it'll be good. It'll be fun, and it'll be a little different show from what we normally do, but it will definitely be fun. And then I can go over a couple minutes. It's not a big deal. And then on February 17th, when we're back here in my room, or the X75 production studio, we will be having a special guest, and Shaggy will be super excited to find this out when he watches this at the very end of the show. But we are going to have Stephanie Phillips, the writer, for Kicking Ice, a graphic novel about women's hockey, which the National Women's Hockey League is involved in. She will be joining the show on February 17th. We will be talking about how Kicking Ice came about, how involvement from the NWHL came about as well, plus other things that Stephanie would like to talk about in regards to promoting this. You can go to Kickstarter today, type in Kicking Ice, and you'll get it right off the bat. And so stay tuned to our Patreon, patreon.com/txht_hockey. We will be posting on there when tomorrow's footage will be posted up. Plus also, we haven't officially announced it yet, but all past episodes of the Experience Hockey Talk, whether it be WBGR, Tour Radio, SoundCloud, whatever format we were on at the time, everything is going to get remastered or restored in due time. We will be doing that throughout probably during the off season when there's more time and I'm not having to focus on producing this show every week. So, because we're not just doing this show, we're doing all of the other shows that that X75 Productions does. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. Stay tuned for when our footage from tomorrow will be coming out. It'll definitely be coming out this week. I think Wednesday might be the safest day to do it, because I definitely won't be able to do it on Monday or Tuesday, because Tuesday the Capitals play, and I don't want it to coincide when the Caps are playing. So it'll most likely be Wednesday night, but we'll go to the Patreon page and we'll keep you tuned on that. So ladies and gentlemen, until next time, we will see you on the ice.